What is going on, everyone? My name is Jonathan, host here at The Jono Show, and I could not be more excited today to have Shanda Sumpter on my show. Shanda, thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited to be here.
I love your energy. I love the content that you've put out on social media. And as I have been, doing research for this, I've learned more and more and more about your story, and I've gotten more excited for this interview. And so I can't wait for everyone to listen to this on podcast platforms everywhere. Check it out on YouTube. They're not going to be disappointed because I think that you have an incredible story. You've gone from, you're self-made, and you obviously, have had maybe people in your circle that have helped you get there, but, you've really created something incredible with your business and with your life, with the people that you've impacted. And so at the Jono Show here, we're all about highlighting those stories that, have people who took themselves and really, really pushed themselves to get to their potential. And they're on that journey of constantly trying to do that. So again, thank you for being here. Can you take us in the most cliche podcast way possible back to the beginning? Give us a little bit of a stage set. Who are you? Maybe what did you do before? In fact, do you want to even take us back to like high school? You want to go that?
Yeah. I mean, well, I before high school, I failed grade 6.
Okay.
I lived with my mom most of my life until my mom actually a pretty traumatic moment in my life. Nobody ever expects their mom to let them go. And my mom let me go live with my dad going into high school. So you could tell by failing grade 6, there was probably something going on. And my mom was a single mom who was, she would date guys for long periods of time, but there was never really a solid foundation there. And so I went and I moved to my dad like grade 10, 11, and 12 to a private school that is called Waldorf, the Waldorf School, if anybody knows what it is.
Oh yeah.
In Vancouver, Canada. And I thought it was a granola school, and everybody I went from the preppy high school where I wore all black all the time and couldn't get my jeans tight enough to basically just really creative kids, you know what I mean? With very, very wealthy parents for the most part, and very, very creative kids. And when I moved in Vancouver, Canada, that was probably the beginning of me actually starting to get some sort of foundation and idea behind who I am. I really, my kudos go out for all the teachers out there, both teachers who are teaching online and the internet, people who are teaching in schools and homeschooling. It was some great teachers that turned me around, that I really started to believe in myself. And I actually graduated with a 3.8 GPA. For me, that's huge, because I was the kid who used to sit underneath my desk and put stickers underneath my desk because I didn't even try. Because I heard so many times, oh my God, she's so talented, but she the potential, but she doesn't buy herself. I mean, I think all teachers should delete that from ever speaking those type of words over people, because what I did was live into not applying that. So I graduated from high school. I went to college, started flunking out of college because I didn't know how to study really. And I didn't have teachers that were believing in me. So this goes back to this conversation of I was just text messaging one of our past clients, and I was like, your network is your net worth, and not who you know, but who loves you and who you love. Do you know what I mean? That's really the network. It's not no matter how many people you know, who knows you that's powerful, that loves you, and who do you know that you love, because your network really does become your net worth in life. So when I went from high school to college, I no longer had a network around me that really loved me anymore. It was, regular teachers, and I didn't know how to operate in that. So I started flunking out of school.
And was this here in the States, or was this in Canada?
Actually, Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
I got this big idea to move to America. And about every month and a half, I would, in Canada, it's 19 where you could go to the bars. And so I would go to bars, and I would get very excited about coming back down to Las Vegas, and a bunch of us would pile into cars the next day and drive to the border, and we'd come down to Las Vegas, and we would stay there for a long period of time, and then make our way back to Canada. So that started my pull for America and to be in America. Eventually, I came down and never left. I applied to the University of Las Vegas and got in. I took hotel casino management, like a business degree with hotel casino management. I never finished. I got just good enough grades to hold my visa. And then I became American. In fact, true story, drinking margaritas, I drove through a drive-through with my friend Mike Darling, and we got married through a drive-through and got it annulled because I couldn't do that in front of God. I'm very biblical. So I was like, I just lied in front of God. I can't do it. So we got it annulled. God, they annulled it. But my dad is American. And so through him being American, working in the Air Force for years, I got my citizenship in America, and I just have not left. And so now I live in California, and I love it. I almost didn't come here because taxes are so high, but at the end of the day, I just can't live in an area for money. Like, I can't live in a place in the world just to have more money. You know what I mean? Like, my life is, I value my life very, very highly, in my time in my life. And so if I loved any of those areas, I'd live there, but I don't.
Totally. Yeah. And sometimes everyone's like, oh, taxes over here, or
go to Puerto Rico,
an environment, or Yep.
Yeah.
That totally makes a lot of sense. Do you think that originally not being from this country, had anything to do with kind of your drive to succeed? Does that have anything to do with?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking to somebody on my team that I actually suggested leave our company because she's an entrepreneur, and inside the company, I feel like she's super complacent. And so that kind of goes back to that question you just asked me. I wasn't complacent at all. I mean, I remember sitting in my bedroom floor in Las Vegas, $500 in an envelope hidden in the closet, because that was all the money I had. And I was literally so broke it hurt. Like if anybody's experienced that feeling of being so broke that it hurts, that was me. And I remember having the thought, like, how can people live in America or anywhere in the world and be allowed to work and not? Like something so frustrating, because you're like, oh, if I just had the opportunity to just do this, I would do it and I would love it. Well, that was work for me because I wasn't allowed to work. And so I was just like, if you could just give me a work visa, or while I was in my process of becoming American, because I had a lot of roadblocks. INS told me multiple times, even though my dad's American, I'm not entitled to it. All of that's it's wrong. But you got to remember, in every government front desk, it's a clerk. And it doesn't necessarily, and I even went to attorneys, but not all attorneys are made equal. You know what I mean? I found a great attorney that literally wouldn't even take my money. All I had to do is fill out paperwork, passport paperwork, and get some stuff from my parents, mail it in. It cost me nothing but the stamp, and I had at least 8 professionals tell me, between attorneys and the INS front desk, that there was really no guarantee. There was probably not even a chance that I was going to become American, because I was over the age of 18 and my dad didn't live in the States anymore, And so it shows you how often we don't go all the way.
Totally.
And so, so I could not, I didn't have the luxury, which I think is a death sentence. Complacency is a death sentence. And so I didn't have that curse on me. You know what I mean? And so the fact that I had to make it work. I mean, there were times I worked for $40 a day under the table just to get some cash. And my friends would give me money, and then I'd make some money back and give it back to them. And it was a tough time, but I don't have it. I don't really remember it feeling tough, other than money was tight, because I had just as much fun being broke as probably even more than having lots of money, because there's a hustle in it.
Yep. So I think I love that you said that. I think it's such an early indicator of you being willing to kind of knock down some doors and, get past some of those gatekeepers, because you're totally right. It is a clerk. And in a lot of different scenarios, you do hit those initial gatekeepers. I hit them when we're trying to deal with, try to get podcast guests on the, here, in any business. I think that you run into that. And so if you're going to let that deter you, if you're going to let that first roadblock or that second roadblock or that gatekeeper or that, assistant who's having a bad day get in your way, you'll never really get to where you want to be, because you're letting yourself get discouraged. I love that. So, and then, go ahead.
The question I think everybody should ask, is it true that something's really hard, or is it that you haven't gone all the way? Because I paid out-of-state tuition at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas for I think it was 3 years in fact, in 2015, I got a letter from the bank that I'd paid off my college tuition that I never ever finished. 2015. Okay. So it was a lot of years for me. And so, I just sit there and go, the attorney that knew the answer was always there. He was always preaching wouldn't be the word, but giving seminars in the international building. I just didn't go all the way. I was either too tired or too hungover at school to go all the way. And I think people, their energy, they stop, they make up stories.
Do you feel like people, help me get on the other side of that. When have you gone all the way, and when is it time to switch gears?
Yeah. Well, that was a big aha moment for me, because when the government tells you that something when the government tells you a direction, we typically believe it. When a doctor tells you a direction, we typically believe it. Look at what's happening in the world right now. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine posts that his aunt gets the vaccine, number 2, and dies 2 weeks later. And I've seen that a couple times now. I send that to my aunt. My aunt responds back to me, "That's not science. I know people that died of coronavirus," right? So there's just massive confusion in who we believe on a regular basis. And the blessing in that is that you start to stop and go, well, what is within my power to create a result? Does that make sense? 100%. And so that was a big eye opener to me, because the people I trusted in government, didn't know. And it wasn't one person, it was multiple people. And so when I got my work visa, I started to go all in, because I knew that work was a privilege at that point. Mm-hmm. And so, there was the contrast.
You knew you were ready. You're give me that job. I can do this.
You got to learn from your mistakes. If you're dating the wrong person forever and then you meet a great person, you no longer say, "Oh, they're too nice." You don't say that anymore. You're done with that bullshit story. You just don't say that anymore. That's said from the person who still hasn't learned their lesson. And it's not said by someone who is actually, I get it. I'm actually looking for someone that I'm going to get a vision. And that's when the all in starts happening. When you start to get the vision, we're I actually want somebody extraordinarily nice to do my life with. You know what I mean? How insane is it to say someone's too nice and you don't want to date them? That's insanity, right? If you have vision, if you actually have vision, you start to realize, well, what happens after the initial attraction to that business, that idea, that person? Well, what happens is called a build. And who do you want to build with? Right. And so when I started catching this vision that I didn't want to be shackled the way I was when the INS told me I couldn't be American, or it was going to be really hard, or when I was getting $40 a day, or when I only had $400, when I was so broke that it hurt like that, I didn't want to go back there. And so even though it wasn't a horrible time in my life, it wasn't my vision. And so I set off and I worked for other people. I thought money was what I really wanted. I worked my way up in the restaurant industry. I got the titles, and I got the titles even when I didn't deserve the titles, because the food and beverage manager and Mandalay Bay wanted me to take a job. And so I was like, give me this title. I just started to realize so much of the titles don't tell you who the person is, because I worked the system and I got them and was not qualified to have them. And I was a general manager of a nightclub and I didn't even understand pour costs. And, so I just look at like so much of what people grab as credibility, like these titles and the car that you drive. Like now I have a $200,000 car out there. And honestly, the only reason why I don't trade it for something different is I feel safe in a G-Wagon with my son, right? But the truth is I'd actually rather have a convertible, but I don't feel safe with my son in the convertible. And so I don't care if that convertible, by the way, is an old Lexus for like $6,000. Like I just don't care about that stuff anymore. Because as I've climbed the different ladders, I just have realized that none of that has given any sort of extra happiness in my life. Now, money, I think people are crazy when people say money doesn't bring happiness. That's a lie. And somebody broke is saying that. It is not like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying everybody with money is happy. So I'm not saying that, right? I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that money allows you to sleep better at night.
Very true.
Okay, so that's huge, right? Yeah. Money allows me to get a private plane if I need to go somewhere when coronavirus hit initially and we didn't know really what it was. Money allows me to pay for a functional medicine doctor, right? Like I have medical and I don't know why I have it. Like I just was speaking about that yesterday. It's like I pay for my medical doctor. And by the way, as we speak, I'm dropping another $5,000 to Dr. Axe. If you've ever heard of Dr. Axe's company, Dr. Axe's team to run a bunch of labs on me. And then if I want to stay for the year, it's another $45,000. Like, money buys those things. And I will go there way before you put me in a regular clinic. So money does bring happiness because I feel happy that I don't have to go to a doctor's office and I could just do a Zoom call with somebody highly credited. So, I knew I wanted to live that way.
It's choice. It's choice also, right? Like you get to decide. You could go to the clinic if you want, or you could have this other option. You could, fly in a regular plane, or you could not. Like you have the ability to have that choice and to create a difference in other people's lives, your son's life.
Yeah, and I also have that ability to do it for like my husband's sister who doesn't even know that I've set up our family life plan to take care of her family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so like, I don't need credit for that. I just share it because I think people need to look up past the reasons why we need money. Who are the people in your life that either are going to need you to have money or like, you could just be a really good human being and make their life better. Like eventually we're all going to die. If you don't have life insurance, that's a problem because eventually you're going to die. So it's like, who do you want to hook up? Because it's very inexpensive to get life insurance. Who do you want to take care of? Like everybody's working to get the house. Well, after you get like, death taxes and inheritance tax. It's like I paid. This is another thing we were talking about this morning. I pay insurance on my insurance to pay the taxes in case something happened. Like it's so insane, right? But like if I didn't have money, I couldn't do those things. So, and I'm doing those things because of people I care about versus just accumulating things in my life. And so I just think people would make a lot more money if they started connecting vision. I went all in because I connected a vision. I make more money because there's a vision to help people I really love. And currently, even I'll be really honest, I haven't even shared this online yet. Currently, I'm in a conversation of like, I don't even know how much bigger I want to grow. And I've never had that in my life. Like I've always been like, let's go. And currently I'm like, you know what? Like I need a new vision. And that's so now I'm doing the work. Like what's vision? Because it'd be really easy to sell the company now.
Yeah.
And really cash out. And I know a lot of people do that. And I don't think that's a problem, but like, I think I'd be cashing out for the wrong reasons. I'd be cashing out and just taking my chips off the table because either I'm tired or lack of vision or, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
I'm with you. And I love that you're saying this. I didn't even think that we were going to get into this, but I so love that you're saying this because I think there are seasons in different people's lives that require different visions.
Totally.
And I think that for someone who is just trying to get out of that place where they're so broke it hurts, like you were describing, right? Maybe there was that vision of getting those titles. And then all of a sudden you get the title and you realize, man, I got to fix my vision because this title is not all that. Like, I got to go somewhere else.
I gained some wisdom from learning that. Okay, well, it feels good for a minute, but
yeah, it's maybe shallow. So now you're like at the next place, you're taking that step up the ladder every time and it's going to require new vision. It's going to require new execution, might even require new people in your ecosystem, right? That's powerful. That's powerful.
But instead of looking down, Jonathan, like I hired this guy, James, to come and look at all the operations inside the company. And while he's auditing my company, which is very vulnerable, talking to each of my team members, I'm sitting back, like mapping out, talking to friends, looking at I'm looking to catch that, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. But where's that next vision? The biggest thing that excites me in my entire company right now is we get 10% away to the kingdom. So I read scripture. And I used to be spiritual, not religious. And I read A Course in Miracles and did all of that. My life was all over the place. I get that whole, but spiritual, not religious. New Age, that is religion. It's religion. It is probably some of the most tight religion out of any religion because you do a lot of laws and you got to live by the laws, right? To have life work, it has to be by the law. Well, so now I'm just straight into the Bible and I love it. The Passion Translation Bible is amazing. So through that, I decided that I was going to give 10% my tithe to God. And so it's not always to my church. A percentage goes to my church, but 10% of my income is a lot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We did 70,000 last week alone. And so it's not all, I don't feel like it needs to all go to my church, but what are other charities out there? We just did human trafficking for A21, which is Christine Kane. She is a biblical speaker and also as a nonprofit, you know what I mean? That's helping human trafficking. And so I'm just so that's what excites me most. So that's currently the thing holding me in the game is the more impact we make, the more the kingdom grows, right? People get saved from suicide. People learn their identity in God versus their identity in things. Does that make sense? So, but I still need that next vision because I just need that.
I'm there with you. Shanda, we've talked about, I think, people's maybe past state or maybe current state, right? We've talked about that point when you were broke. We've talked about that. Let's go to the future state, right? I want to look at how you got to where you are now. And you said something that I just love. You were talking about how people are, kind of faking it or they're doing it for the title or the image or the impression or whatever. And we connected on Clubhouse, right? Initially, that's when I kind of first heard you, and then we connected on social media. And I want to talk about social. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to all the topics I want to talk about, but everyone on Clubhouse is like a coach, 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, 65-figure, there's a lot of kind of fun that's, I think, being had with some of this, my question starts with, and some of the rooms that kind of get creative with that. But how does someone go from kind of that identity of being broke and maybe having a certain friend group to opening themselves up and putting themselves in scenarios where they are actually able to start growing as a person? Because it wasn't an overnight thing, correct? That you went from, $500 in the envelope to, sounds like you're doing, $70,000 in a week is a lot better than that.
70,000 a week was my tithe. Yeah. It was my 10%. And so, it's, I think everything is leadership.
Okay.
I don't think it, I know it. It's leadership. And so if I look at all the years that I've been running the main company that we have, you're looking at 10 years. And so I use almost the same marketing. Do you know what I mean? It's not so we chase to learn more marketing, but the more you can streamline your business, Like, it's like the more you can, first of all, I would not bank it all on social media. I have a celebrity trainer over the weekend. Somebody hacked her account. She can't get it back. They keep changing the name of her account too. And we're all reporting it and all of that. Somebody else like impersonated me and got $2,000 for Bitcoin from one of my clients. I don't even know this person. She's actually not a client, a follower. They found me. Somehow they found my house, showed up at my house. I gave her $2,000 back, even though it wasn't me that stole it. But like, there's just a lot of crap happening on social media that is just not real. First of all, when you see my social media pictures, like there's a picture of my husband and I up there right now, we cut that on date day, but like date day is not our life. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting the front picture. You're not getting, the irritated moment or you know what I mean? You're not getting the true picture of what's really going on. And our social media is rented, not owned. So
I love
business wise, it's just
great.
true.
Yeah.
Like people have to learn, like think. You got to think. Okay. Like I know it's very tempting to be the most successful person on Clubhouse. I haven't been on Clubhouse for a week. I'm going to be on it today, right? Because I need to go put some time in there and I enjoy serving and helping. But like, I can honestly tell you, I don't want to go on Clubhouse. I literally said it today. I was like, I really got to go on Clubhouse. I was like, I don't want to go on Clubhouse. Like, I don't want to, because I'm trying to be somebody, get somewhere. And like, I don't know, like these social channels, they really try and teach you that you have to have a jet or a Porsche or something, and you're not successful if you don't, right? And you've got people out there I have a girlfriend who's like literally looking at a jet because she goes back and forth, and coronavirus is a pain in the ass with all of her kids. Forget about coronavirus. It was pain in the ass before coronavirus, flying with three little kids, and she flies like almost every week, right? And so that's a good reason to get a jet. And that's a great reason to get a jet, especially if you can afford it. Do you know that she literally drives a pickup truck, the same one she drove before? I like that character.
Yep.
I love that character. You know what I mean? Like she has a Porsche too, and she has other things, but she likes a pickup truck. That's like her favorite thing, right? And so just work on your personal development, because otherwise you're going to become you're going to be chasing all the Instagram pictures and the YouTube videos and all the frontline messaging that everybody wants you to look at, because very few people are putting out their information out there about, oh, I just fought with my husband, or I just like yelled at my kid. Like nobody's doing that. If they do that, they're going to have all the parenting coaches over there and all the relationship people giving them advice. And they don't want that either. Right. So that's not what's happening online. So you got to focus, you got to know who you are.
How did you start? Like, how did you start? Because it's the business that you're talking about is HeartCore Closer.
HeartCore Business.
HeartCore Business. HeartCore Business.
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. I think a lot of people think of business and heart being different, and it's totally not. You don't take off your human hat and then put on your business hat.
Yeah.
I love that. But how did you start that? At what point was there like a click that is like, I have to help other people?
Well, the tacticals, I started building email lists because you own it. So like anybody who sits there goes, email's outdated. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Try and get through your email without buying something or ending up on a blog or ending up, you know what I mean? You can't get through your email without that. We're in there all the time. And so, I use email to sell, and I built my business through email. In fact, like that's like, you own it. It's your asset. You own it. Amazon sells that way. Apple sells that way. Everybody sells that way. Every social influencer pulls off social, puts them in email, sells through email. So, I literally, it's so crazy to say, I literally heard an audible voice telling me to start this company. And I was running a real estate company. I built a division with a very high level brand in real estate. And we did over $100 million. We did $170 million in 15 months. I was the only salesperson. Wow. And so eventually I ended up having on-site sales teams. When I say that, there was 3 people, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't like this big operation. And I did that through 2 strategic partners in the UK and Hong Kong that purchased real estate from me. And we used their email lists and their members, and we sold real estate. We sold real estate that they wanted to them. So it's business 101. Everybody gets this. I feel the hair on my arm standing up. I got to create this product. No, you don't. You have to go look at who has a buyer's list. So in my case, it was real estate investment groups, right, at that time. And so they're paying to belong there. So now they're a higher quality lead. And what are they being influenced? Well, they're being influenced on pre-construction real estate. Okay. High rises. They're being influenced on like rehabs. Okay. You know what I mean? Like who's the rehab king, queen, whatever, right? Make a strategic partnership. It's all about your network.
So
right?
Don't follow my passion. I'm super stoked underwater basket weaving, and that's my passion. And no.
I know. And he's not really a friend of mine, Brendan Burchard, but I know he says that all the time. And I actually really respect Brendan's trainings because I think he's a phenomenal teacher and a really smart guy. But that part, every time he says that, I get this, I'm like, because it just isn't true. Like, I think that you can build a good little business on passion. I do. There's going to be people who are interested, but it's probably going to take, if things are taking too long to build, there's probably a little of that going on, because making a lot of money really comes down to like, where's the audience and what are they being influenced on? And a good strategic partnership will just rock that. Right. And so then you just give them a product that matches what they want. Once you do that, you make tons of money. The selling process is really easy. And so again, that comes back down to leadership. I have to be the type of leader that now I need to have a vision. What is that money for? Because so many people, their businesses are about their passion and making them happy. And so what happens is, soon as you start to build something, like if I needed to be happy, I can't say I'm unhappy, because I'm not. I take off 5.5 months a year, but it's like, like right now is not really comfortable time. You know what I mean? I'm not feeling super passionate or fired up. I will when I train people because I love people, and I'll always pour into people, but I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm missing a vision on this next piece, and everybody hits these different levels. And so this would be a time, probably this would be a time that somebody would quit. You know what I mean? It'd be really easy for me to sell the company, just be with my son, have another baby or 2, and just chill. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and just, I'd be fine with $40 million. You know what I mean? Like, I'd have a good life.
Yeah.
And so, but I know that's not where it's supposed to, I know it's not supposed to end there.
I think the same reason that you didn't stop at $100,000, the same reason you didn't stop at $1 million, is the same reason that you're not going to stop doing what you're passionate about, which is going to lead to like more than $40 million, right? I think that's kind of
but it's not like at some point, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone. At some point, it stops even being about the money. And I believe it's 300,000, to be really honest, but I know just from my, like the group I work with, entrepreneurs, at about $300,000 income, I hear entrepreneurs start to say things like it's not worth it, because it's a good amount of money and they can really live a nice life right there. It's a good amount of money. You can get the car you want, you can get the house, you can travel. You're not really wanting for much. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good life. When people go over that, it's a calling. That's just a Shandaism. I just believe that from the thousands of entrepreneurs I've coached online. It starts to become a calling. There's something inside you that's pulling you to give above your needs, and I wish that blessing upon everyone. But like, when someone says you're born an entrepreneur, I don't know. I think you build it. And I think you build it.
How do people then unpack what they're good at, or how do they kind of find their calling? Because you have a largely female audience, correct?
It is. It's about 80% female.
Okay. Yeah. So do you find when you're working with a lot of these business owners that they are kind of struggling to really click into what they're called to do, and they're missing that track. Maybe they're right next to it, maybe, but they're missing it.
Yeah.
How do you help them kind of click in? For anyone who's listening to this or watching this, like, what are there kind of some steps?
Well, just know this: you're clicking in like cleats on a bike. Every time you ride to that next chapter, you're clicking in again, and you got to find that right click, because it changes. You know what I mean? Like, it just changes. It changes as you grow. Like, usually it's something that I either hear this: I don't want to do anything like I did before. I'm so burnt out of it. I never want to see it again. I'm like, oh, that's your thing. You know what I mean? So we have to repackage it in a way that you see value in it, because you're scared of it in some way, because you burnt out or something like that. So it's something you're inherently really good at. Like, I am inherently really good at leadership, but I've studied it and refined it over the years, and doing it again as I take the company to the next level. Got me here is not getting me there. Right? Even I don't know who I'm hiring on the next round. I've never hired that group of people before. I have to change my leadership. And so if you look back to my first set of programs, the art of receiving money, things like that, it was around leadership. It was around, like, how do you talk to people and serve them and help them get to there, and then you'll get to there because of it. You'll be able to make your ask for whatever you need if you help them go to there, and so it was always leadership. It's always been leadership. So everybody, you have something that you have advice or something that you've been sharing forever. It's not the product you're selling. It's something within your leadership is the reason why people buy from you. So is it your boldness, it's people buy because of emotion. So when people get this at a level that, like, if they could hear me on this, it's not the product. It's just not. Look at, you got Kim Kardashian doing shapewear, and you got Sarah Blakely doing shapewear. They both have an incredible product. Totally different tribes. Right? Totally different women. Sarah Blakely is like the girl, like, I mean, I'll text Sarah for advice on things because she is I respect her. So I don't even think she knows how much I respect her. Right. But like, I text her because I know I'm going to get the real answer from Sarah. Like, I'm like, how do I hire a COO? She's like, well, I was like, well, how'd you find your COO? In like a department store, like, and I'm like, I cannot replicate that. She's like, I know, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, so how do you know when you move that person? Like, how do you know when you move somebody to a different place? It's like, oh, like, so now she's got wisdom. Well, I probably kept that person there too long. I should have moved them over to president 2 years earlier. Like, now she's got some wisdom in some areas, but like, Sarah is so humble, and so is her audience, right? Like, her audience identifies with her leadership. Mm-hmm. Kim Kardashian is like 12 shades of makeup on her face, and is the most beautiful creature walking on the planet. I mean, she's stunning, like absolutely stunning. And her crew resonates with that glamour, that, you know what I mean? Not the army of kids and a crazy husband and showing up to the Today Show like Sarah does with her dress on backwards and the tag hanging out. Like Sarah's like the all-American girl, right? But Kim Kardashian isn't. What are they buying? They're buying their shapewear, and they got to be a good product. They're listening to their audience on the product they're creating, but they're buying the leadership of the humans leading it. And so people can just rest into, like, you are amazing at who you are. Like, nobody is you. And if you can just, like, we have an identity crisis on this planet. Everybody's trying to be somebody else. And it's like, then you're going to keep missing it, right? Because like, your tribe, the people that want to buy from you, they identify with your leadership more so than anything. And when they've mastered your leadership and they've got that in them, then they're ready to go. So don't be heartbroken when they go to the next leader to learn from, educate from, whatever it looks like. They're ready for that next level emotional intelligence in an area that they don't have it in, or they're going to go start following another CEO or thought leader. Does that make sense?
100%. I love how you said that. And the example you gave was perfect as well. How does that compare then to someone who's like, okay, I'm, lean into myself. Well, I don't really feel like I have a lot to offer. I don't really have a lot to give.
Go to 5 friends and ask them for honest, open feedback, and just say, I don't say anything back. You're totally safe in my space. Tell me what really, really works about my personality for you. Like what really, really works. And then I would actually ask them to share what really doesn't work about your personality, and ask them to be really honest. And they will, or about yourself, literally record it so that you can just be present to it. And you'll feel some of it will sting, and some of it will be like you'll really feel seen. And then re-listen to that, listen to those 5 people again, and write down what they said really worked and what didn't work. Well, what really worked is in your leadership is your feedback for what you need to refine and keep honing and lead more with that. What didn't work is probably your blind spot, the thing you want to defend on why that doesn't work about your personality, but you can't defend it because those are your strategic partners. Do you get what I'm saying? Like those are your strategic partners, and those are the people that's going to amplify your brand. If you can just be like, okay, like I know where my leadership is like on point, and I'm going to amplify that. And here, I'm not going to try and be this person because this person obviously doesn't work for me.
You're going to hire that person.
Yeah, exactly. It's powerful.
I'm with you. So then who are your coaches? Because you said, you don't, what I did in the past is not going to get me to where I'm going. So how do you think about having coaches and mentors, maybe especially given everything we just talked about with this noise that's in the market on everyone flexing in front of their jet and their Porsche? How do you think about hiring a coach?
Yeah. So I don't typically hire the Porsche or the jet, although I am in a mastermind that it's all about the jet and the Porsche and all of that. And I have to really watch myself, because if I watch their channels, I feel like I need to go do that. Like, it's talk about how strong that pull is. And I have no issues with getting a jet, and I have no issues with any of that. Like, I love flying private. No issues with any of that. But I actually get coached and mentored currently by a guy by the name of Rex Crane. And he's done a few programs with Tony Robbins, and he's amazing. But Rex, when he speaks prophetically, the whole room knows that they can do it. Like, if I put Rex on the camera right now and he started to speak to you, without a doubt, the rest of your day will be on fire. Not on fire because he's motivating you, but because you will realize that you can do more. You can create more. Like, is your life currently reflecting your past decisions or your future decisions? Right. And so this guy is he's off the charts, and he's prophetic, and I love the crew he hangs out with, a lot of prophets and people like that. But this guy, like he left the Red Sox to go speak and help people. Like, his heart's in the right place. Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it.
And some of the top entrepreneurs in the world go to him, including presidents, to help them. And so that's who I go to.
So you're looking for people who are kind of living your future, not living your past, like who are doing where you want to be, whatever that looks like, whatever that next phase.
I always look at their personal life. Like, okay. I'm married, so I want somebody who has an incredible marriage. I want somebody who's got kids that has really great, I take off 5.5 months a year. There are people that would just be like, I got kids, and I got a husband or a wife too. And but you're not asking me my vision. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 companies, and the third one I have equity in, and I take off 5.5 months a year. I just do. And my vision is, can I grow a company to $1 billion? And sometimes the guys laugh at me. I just had a really great friend of mine. Why do you want to do $1 billion? Do you know that Tony Robbins isn't? I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. I don't want to do it because I want to do it because I want to see, I got Sarah in my life. I got Jesse Itzler in my life. You can do it. Like you get a contract with Delta Airlines, you get like, there's things that there's amplifiers, not to mention there's God. Right. And so when you look at people who like my friends that have created like a $1 billion company or a few, there is a heart to them. There's just a different heart to them. There's a different giving capacity to them. You know what I mean? Like I remember I did 2 programs with Jesse. I was like, Jesse, talk about, you built this company. So like, he's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm going to say that this is my friend. And I said the word billions. He's like, no. Like, I was like, dude, you got to say what
like, flex done. A little, man. Flex a little.
But because it's not who he is. Like he's doing it now because enough people have said like, you really do need to do this. Right. But it's not who he is at the core. He's a dad. He's a friend. He's, he doesn't care who, like, he's not impressed by your credentials. He's impressed by your heart. And Sarah's the same way. And so I want to see if I can grow a company like that or be a part of a company like that and still take off all this family time. Now, I don't know if that's possible, but that's the chess game I'm playing.
I love it. Well, we're wrapping up here. Far too short a time. I have all sorts of topics we could get into, but I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And I think the audience got a lot of value and will get a lot of value, but let's say that they're just pumped and they want to find out more and they want to, be in your tribe or be a part of your programs or learn about email marketing or any of these things that you've talked about. Where can they connect with you on?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, Shanda Sumpter. You can find us on our website, HeartCore Business. And currently, because of the state of the world, I'm on Clubhouse. Like I'm on Clubhouse. I run a room once a week. So go find me on Clubhouse and follow me. The nice thing about Clubhouse is it's like a live conference call. And if I've ever got anything going on, like when we have masterminds for our clients or anything like that, we always provide a certain amount of seats that work for our coaching company to be able to still coach people. But we always open up space when I'm doing it anyway for our clients. So you'd find that on Clubhouse versus somewhere else.
Cool. I love it. Well, thanks again so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and just get your mindset on things. I think that it starts there. It starts with that vision, like you were saying. And so I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
So good.